Hello, I'm Jacinta. Welcome back to my channel, Past That Plant. Today we are going to restake my Begonia Maculata. Now that I've turned my Begonia Maculata around, you can really see how much this plant has outgrown the current stakes that I have it on. You can't even see the top of the plant as she's growing so well. The last time I restaked this begonia was in October and it is now July. Last time I restaked it, it is because I was repotting it, and now we just need to go up a size in stakes. When this plant is side on, you can really see how much it is leaning forward. I have recently cut all the blooms off, but it did flower last autumn and I think it will again in spring, and the flowers are beautiful, but they are quite heavy, so she will definitely need some more support before she blooms again. This is a cane begonia, so the stems are quite thick and strong, so it's not necessarily going to snap, but you can see with it leaning it does take up a lot more space. I do have trouble finding space for all my houseplants, especially when they grow this big, so having it stand up straight will mean she won't need as much floor space. Obviously the red is absolutely stunning on the backs of the leaves. It's one of the reasons why I love this variety of Begonia Maculata so much. There are lots of different varieties. Oh. I do have another visitor today. She's never stayed here before. So we'll see how she goes. Quite cute though. This begonia is staked with bamboo poles or garden poles, which you can get at any good garden store or plant nursery. Not necessarily a fancy plant shop, but definitely a plant store. And I do love them as they are thin and malleable and quite cheap. So I'm using the same poles again, but these ones are just longer. This bundle of bamboo poles is 120 centimeters tall. That should definitely be tall enough for my begonia, although some of the stems are taller than that. This is a bundle of 15 and it was $7, so it's very affordable from a local plant store. You can of course buy them online as well, and I do have them linked. Currently I have a combination of Velcro strips and plant clips keeping my begonia attached to my bamboo poles. I'm going to remove them one by one and replace them, because if I do it all at once, this whole plant is just going to splay out. And if you watched my begonia repot, you already know how stressful that can be. So I'm going to try and avoid it splaying out and me holding onto it for dear life. Once they are attached to a longer pole, they really should stand up a lot straighter. My very professional little glass vessel here, I have lots of twine plant clips, which is what I will probably use, and also more of the Velcro. I will also give this plant quite a tidy up. The foliage at the back obviously doesn't get as much attention as the foliage at the front, so I will remove any crispy leaves. If any of the stems are looking too pale, I'm going to chop them off as well. So let's get into it. Some of these stems at the back are not as tall as the ones at the front, so I may be able to repurpose some of the shorter poles as we go along. I don't know if you can see, but there is quite a lot of webbing in between these poles. It is from a garden centre after all, and I have already had one spider come out of them. I might just give them a quick rinse before I stick them in my plant, so I don't have a spider infestation in my begonia. Okay, I gave them a quick rinse and nothing else came crawling out of them, so let's hope it stays that way. I will probably add a few more stakes as well, because currently I have one stake holding up multiple stems. This one I had Velcro, a plant clip, and a second piece of Velcro. So I will just stick it in at the base So you can see the size difference. I actually could have gone the taller poles because this was not the tallest option, but I obviously underestimated how tall this begonia was. Again, you can see how much straighter this one is standing up already, and I'm just going in with the plant clips. So I've just added 2 to 1 stem. I'm going to swap this shorter pole with this slightly longer one, both which were already in this begonia. Currently got the Velcro and also some little plant clips. It's happened because each time a stem started to really grow, I just kept adding more plant clips as it went, so this is a good chance to reorganize this plant properly. The pole is much too small, so I'll just move this slightly taller one over, push it in, and stake this back piece. The plant clip. Perfect. That's already spaced better. Another plant clip and Velcro. Shorter pole. Immediately fell. You'll see with the bamboo poles there's often a thinner end and a fatter end. I like to use the thinner end and push that into the potting mix as it is less likely to damage the roots. You want to be putting it behind where the foliage is facing, so it holds it up instead of being a leaned on support. Looking at so much better already. Pole number 3. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. There's quite a few on this one. See how they go. You can see they bend, but they won't snap. Famous last words. Plant clip. You do want to be careful where you're putting the clips, as often underneath the sheaths is new growth, and you don't want to clip any new growth as you may stunt it or break it. I think I only need 1 more of these super long new poles for this big beautiful stem here. The rest are still a little bit shorter, so I can repurpose some of the existing poles. Another plant clip. It is absolutely pouring. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's a nice storm. You can see at the base of the plant that there is some shorter stems and it is quite bushy and thick, which we love. So I can stake some of these shorter ones with the shorter poles. There is already some of the shorter ones back here as well. I'm going to remove all the shorter ones and then restake them in a way which looks better and flows better. Nice little short one. Is that it? Surely not. Okay, that might be it of the existing ones. I'm going to push it back in a different spot. Or do I want a taller one? I might go taller. May as well, seeing I've plucked it out. Another plant clip at the top. These ones. See, some are still hanging. Pin that one up as well. The plant velcro is handy for these shorter bits, which may be a little bit further away from the pole. So you can make them as long as you like. There are a few here as well which aren't even staked, so you can really see they will stand up on their own. This one I might clip as well. I think my begonia is looking pretty good as far as the staking goes. I haven't staked every single stem for a few reasons. One of them is this plant is already quite bushy, and if I bundle the stems all really closely together, then they will start competing for sunlight, and this plant does need a lot of light, so we don't want that. That's what the back is looking like now. Lovely. With this side view, you can see that it's more compact but still not squished together. So if we give her a spin now, she shouldn't be taking up anywhere near as much space. Backs are beautiful and red. Need a lazy Susan for my plants. You can already see that some of the stems towards the back of the plant are not as full, they're quite leggy, and again that is because it is competing for sunlight. This one is a good example where there's a stem all the way up to here before there's even one leaf, so I am going to cut that off. The reason that is happening is because these stems are at the back of the plant, so they're not getting enough sunlight. I do have a full care video on the Begonia Maculata, and in it I do discuss that this plant does need a lot of sunlight. And if you have leggy growth, or if you don't have these beautiful vibrant leaves, then yours is not getting enough light. I'm going to chop off the leggy stems. Any of the sections which do have leaves on them, I will keep and propagate. Well, it was raining and now the bloody sun's out again. There's classic Melbourne weather for you. But I'm going to cut off this stem at the base. Can you see? Yes. So thick. You can see why this is called a cane begonia, and there's just one tiny little leaf trying to grow on top. As I said, there was no sunlight back here. When propagating the cane begonia, the roots will grow from these nodes, which is where there's kind of ridges and lumps along the stem. You can see where some tiny little leaves did try to grow along here, but there just wasn't enough light. So you can peel off these little sheaths, and that's where the roots will grow from. And you can see that in this existing little propagations I've got, which are all rooting beautifully. So fun. Once they look like this, they are ready to pot up, but it is still winter here, so I will hold off until spring. Take this one tiny leaf and add it. So the roots will come from here, here, or here. I don't really need all this bare stem, so I'll just cut it here and add it to my water. So I've just popped it straight in with my other propagations. You don't need to let the Begonia Maculata callus like you do with the ficus, so you can just pop it straight into water, or you could just put it straight back into potting mix as well, and it would also root as long as you are keeping the potting mix nice and moist, which you should be anyway, because this plant needs a lot of water, especially at this size. I water this one every other day in winter and every day in summer, and I missed it every day as well. So this is what she's looking like now. I will pop her on the floor so you can see how tall she really is in all her glory. Almost as tall as me. I am taller than 120 centimeters, obviously, as the poles are not on the ground. She's looking so pretty. This is absolutely one of my favorite houseplants. I did actually just find one of my old phones, which I didn't realize I still had, and on that phone I found clips from when I first bought this plant home back in 2021. However, as I've said, this plant is made entirely from cuttings. So I chopped and propped that mother plant, and then once it had rooted, I potted all the cuttings up together and made this big beauty. So if you have tiny propagations like this, it can grow into this with the right love and care. I do have my full care routine for this plant on my YouTube channel already, and I'll link it, and there is also 2 full pages in my new ebook on the Begonia Maculata care. I'll probably just spend some time now fussing over my begonia, or pottering around as I like to say, fussing over the stems and making sure I'm happy with how everything's facing, because that is half the joy of plant care. But that is it for the restake. I often get asked how my begonia is supported, and now you know. As she is a thick and bushy queen, I think next time I repot it, which will probably be next year, I may separate some of the sections. We'll see. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Now you see exactly how you can stake your own begonia. It's very cheap and affordable. Bamboo poles, $7 for 15 of them. Plant clips you can also buy by the 100 online. I will link them, or you can just use twine or anything you've got at home. And you too can have a glorious Begonia Maculata. Alright, thanks for watching.